Hello everyone. So today we'll be discussing your UPSC GS1 paper with respect to your Indian society, this year's 2022 examination. So our aim today is to give you the proper content which you have to write down for these answers, but also how to structure these answers. So if you see in the UPSC answers, it's not only important that your content should be fine, but also your structuring of the answer is a very crucial component to score good marks. So content, almost everybody will be having same amount of points, but how you structure it, how you represent it will help you get ahead of your other aspirants, right? So today we'll be discussing through your Indian society paper how to structure it, right? So basically if you analyze this year's paper, almost 75 marks Indian society questions have come. So it's a important part, you cannot ignore it. It's usually a habit among aspirants that Indian society is seen as very generic kind of subject that you don't have to prepare, but no, even sociology optional students are not able to write good and satisfactory questions for this, right? So 75 marks are a lot, and the syllabus is not that much if you see, right? If you compare it with history or geography, so this is a high yielding area. Little amount of hard work will give you more marks, right? So today we'll be discussing 3 10 markers which came in the 2022 examination. In the next video, we'll discuss the 15 markers, right? And if you want to know how to structure or answer the basic video, it has been shot earlier. It is available on the channel. It's my video only. Just check it out. I'll link in the description box, right? So let's start. So the first 10 marker question was, explore and evaluate the impact of work from home on family relationships. It was a 10 marker and in 150 words. So first of all, whenever a question comes, you have to realize that it will be related to your syllabus. So when we talk about salient features of your Indian society, right? So in salient features, you have to cover all the social institutions. Social institution means your family, marriage, religion, all these things. Now they have picked up this theme of family and combined with the current affairs. COVID-19 led to change of all the, how the labor market was working. So work from home became the new norm, right? Earlier it was an exception, like, okay, somebody is not well, somebody doesn't want to come, so probably 2-3 days he can work from home. But now after COVID-19, the way the work has been structured has changed, right? So this question now has been related to your family relation. What is the impact on family? Now the same question could have been asked, what is the impact on women, or like different question. I'm just telling you how to relate your current affairs with your syllabus. On children, on aged, so different types of question can come. So Indian society always see how it is impacting different social groups and how it is impacting different social institutions. Okay, now coming back to it, so your answer will have your 3 parts: introduction, body and conclusion. Easy thing, everybody knows, right? So how to write your introduction? So there'll be 2 ways. Either you define what is work from home, right? Or either you write some statistics which have come in the news. So if we define work from home is like simply it's a work arrangement in which you don't have to go to a central office, or you don't have to commute to a proper or a common place where everybody works, right? So that is work from home, right? Or you can call it remote job or mobile job, right? So if you see during COVID-19, especially during the lockdown and all like social distancing had to be done, so this became the new norm. Companies started, pushing towards this work from home because of the social distancing and other norms or rules which were declared by the government, right? In fact, if you see, a related thing is that, whenever you are studying, trying to relate it to other subjects also. So service sector, especially the tourism with respect to vocation, right? Work plus vocation became very popular, right? So whenever you are studying Indian society, try to relate all the things. They'll be from your surrounding only, but you have to relate it to the paper, right? So coming back, either you define it or you write the statistics. So recently, Prime Minister Modi has said that work from home is the future of the work, right? Working, this whole ecosystem, the whole flexible working hours, right? This will be the future of the work in coming days, right? So it will have different, obviously, separate from the question, it will have a lot of benefits, saving money, environmentally it will be better because commute hours will be less, right? More preference to your mental health, because so much, mental health gets disrupted because of daily long commute hours and all the stress of the job. Now you can work with your comfort of your home, right? Interact with your family, and that is the same like main demand of the question, how the family relationships have changed because of work from home, right? And other, there's a new survey which says that 73% of the Indian firms, they are right now evaluating if this hybrid model, like, probably 3 days work from home and other 3 days, you can work from the office. It can be a model in the future. So these are the two statistics or definition. It's your choice. Keep your definition very short. Especially your introduction should not, exceed 1 or 2 lines when you are writing a 10 marker. UPSC nowadays is very strict about the word limit. Your answer shouldn't cross 150 words. So students have this tendency to writing big paragraphs for introduction. That's not required. 1 line definition or any statistics from any popular survey you can write down, right? Or any current affair news. Okay, so moving forward. So when we'll see how it is impacting your family relations, so we have to write down a balanced answer. So we'll discuss both the positive and negative impact. So positive impact, when we say about family is composed of women are there, children are there, aged are there, then husband-wife relation and general family relation, how the whole institution is working, right? So just pause this video for 5 minutes. I've given you a structure. So just pause it for 2 minutes and think about what you can write. I've given you a basic structure. Now, generating points will become very easy. So now just see from your common sense what points you can write, right? Okay. So moving forward. So if we see what has been the positive impact. So if we talk about the interpersonal relationships in your family. So family resilience, it got a boost, right? Because there was a flexibility of working. You can work from home in the comforts of your zone. There increased interaction between different members of the family, right? Because in today's busy world, everybody is so busy with their jobs and all, you don't have time to even sit down and have dinner together, right? So due to this work from home thing, families actually had some time to sit with each other, talk to each other. So this kind of, cooperation and more, the family emerged as a more stronger institution because of work from home, right? Then according to a survey, it's in Britain, 2000 British parents, like they believe that their families have formed a stronger bond, right? So this is a general impact on a family as an institution. When we talk about the constituent of this family, what has been impact? So if we talk about women, right? So they have this flexible timing, right? If we see that women labor participation in today is very less because of this only, because women have to take care of their family also, right? And also work outside. So work from home provided a flexible environment and it gave a kind of respite to the women, right? Then they were able to plan their pregnancies without any career breaks. So if we see if there is any glass ceiling right now. So what is glass ceiling? Glass ceiling is nothing but a term that in any organization there's an invisible glass ceiling till which a woman can rise, right? So that is your glass ceiling. So because of taking breaks for your, bringing up your children, socializing them, or for pregnancies, usually, the women had to take career breaks and it impacted their career a lot. But now during this period, you're working from home, right? So women were able to plan the pregnancy without taking any career breaks, right? Then what was a positive impact on the children? So children, more time with the children, both the couple, right? They found more time to spend with their children, right? Rather than depending on daycare or creches, etc., right? They had more time to talk to them, inculcate different values in them, morals in them, right? Which, in the busy life is not possible. Everybody gets so tired from their jobs. So what happens is you just hand over the iPad or computer to your child, okay, watch this, right? There was no time to talk to your children. So this work from home changed this whole scenario. You got more time to talk to them and see how is their mental health, how they are doing, right? Then this emotional bonding and increased interaction. So proper habits were inculcated, values, morals, and also there was a check on the screen time, right? Nowadays, if you see young parents, what they are doing, they're very busy with their jobs. They'll hand over a, iPad or a laptop to make the child busy. But now, because of this, because they're staying at home, they were keeping a check on the screen time. So these were some positive impact. If you realize, these are very basic points. You can even write down while just observing your environment. So this analysis of your environment is very, very important when it comes to UPSC answer. Any answer of any GS paper, if you'll see, if you are very well versed with your surrounding, what is happening, and you have an analytical mind, right? So if you have this analytical mind, you can easily see you can easily generate those points in your answers, right? Next, moving on, what was the impact on the aged? So what happened with the lockdown is people from the big cities, metropolitan cities, like if they are working in Bangalore, Mumbai, they came back to their homes in the tier 2 cities, in the villages. So there was reverse migration. So the aged couples who were, witnessing this emptiness syndrome. So emptiness syndrome is nothing like you as a couple or as a, aged person are living alone because all of your children, they have migrated for better job opportunities or better standard of living in the cities. So there was reverse migration. Children came back, right? So aged people, they found, younger persons to take care of them, right? And, more time for taking care of them, catering to their special needs, emotional as well as physical. So this happened, right? So this was a positive impact on your aged people, right? So moving forward. So now we have discussed positive points. So in UPSC, always remember your answer has to be balanced. This is the key to your good marks, right? In out of 10, if you want 5 or 6 marks, a balanced answer. If they are asking evaluate in itself means that you have to write positive things, negative things, both, and then evaluate it, right? So negative impact, again, pause this video, just see according to these social groups what was the positive points, right? So these things you have to see, and obviously moving forward. So negative impact, if we see on family as institutions, so there was increased number of conflicts and resentment because there was shared spaces, right? Especially if you see in the people who are from lower economic background. So very small spaces, probably 1 BHK or just one room and kitchen kind of thing. So increased frustrations, resentment, because the period of COVID lockdown was like that only. You're not going out, you're staying at one place all the time. So your mental health gets deteriorated. So because of that, this frustration or, loss of jobs by some people. So that frustration gets, meted on children or your wife. So all these things happened, right? And especially, somebody's on the Zoom call, somebody's on taking the online classes. So all these things. So the boundary between your workspace and personal space got blurred, and it led to increase in resentment and conflicts within the family, right? Then Mumbai. So there's a survey in Mumbai. It was found that which had the maximum coronavirus cases, also had the highest number of divorce cases, right? So when you are living together, there might be conflicts because there's blurring of the personal space and the professional space. Earlier, okay, 6 to 8 hours you're working outside, and then 2 to 3 hours you have with your family, right? Now everybody is at home 24/7, you are with the same people, right? There's no avenue for entertainment or any other co-curricular activities. So obviously this will turn into conflicts. So Mumbai, which had one of the highest coronavirus cases, also had the highest number of divorce cases, right? Okay, moving forward. So negative impact on women. So one of the most important point which has been in news over past 2 years was, like, apart from pandemic, which was a health pandemic, there was one more shadow pandemic, which was your domestic violence, right? So in India, there was a survey. It showed that there was 85% increase in the violence against women and girls during the COVID period, right? So this was termed as shadow pandemic. So why did it happen? Because, you're depending financially on your husband, right? Cramped living conditions are there. You are isolated with your abuser, right? That is the most important point, right? Then movement restrictions are there, deserted public spaces are there. So all these factors led to another kind of shadow pandemic, violence against women. So this was the impact, and it increased at homes, right? Domestic violence increased. Even there's a survey by this Ministry of Women and Child that on the free toll line numbers, they were very much increase in the load of calls which were coming from distressed women, right? So all these things you can write about, because women, they form part of the family, right? Family, what is family? Is an institution. It is form of social groups. Your women, children, aged, husband and wife's role. So you have to discuss the impact on all these things, right? Then there was a double burden. You're working from home, right? So now working from home has one thing. There's no fixed hours, right? You can get up late at 12 o'clock, but again you have to work, you have to finish your work. So this timing gets blurred, right? So because of that, there was double burden on women, because they're working hard for their work at home also, and plus they have to take care of the aged, children, cook, etc. Because their conventional gender roles today also has to be fulfilled by women. So this led to double burden. And then there was increase in unpaid care work, right? So I was reading one article in which it said that if you realize during the very initial period of the lockdown, throughout the country, people started on WhatsApp groups and Facebook. There was increased in load of people, cooking different kind of foods, right? That was seen. There was a rise in that. You might also be able to relate that in the very initial period, because you were not going out. So everybody was making all those junk food and everything at home. So what this led to, so if you analyze it from society point of view, this is nothing but increased work for the women of the family, right? So although it appeared that, okay, you're making food at home also, but in the hindsight, if you see, it's unpaid work, right? Unpaid work housewives or working mothers were doing. That increased, right? Because everybody is at home, you cannot order from outside, right? So that kind of work increased for women, right? And yeah, so this was the unpaid care work increased, aged are at home, children are at home. So this was your impact on the women of the family when we talk about negative impact, when you talk about your work from home thing, right? Then we'll discuss now the negative impact on children. So what happened is, because there was blurred boundaries between your personal space and your workspace, so it made, the younger children very confused, right? And demanding their parents' child time, because they know, they don't realize that if their father or their mother is at home, it is because of work, right? So it left them very confused, right? And there were no fixed work from home hours. Because of that, interaction with children, although it increased in some other ways, but again, you are always busy with your work. So it had some kind of negative impact on children that, okay, my father or my mother is working constantly, always on the laptop, right? So this kind of thing. Then self-isolation. So there's a UN report that self-isolation has driven more and more children to move online. Online classes are already there, but the parents don't know if they're, listening to the class or doing something else on online. So this exposed them to your online bullying, online harassment, right? So it raised safety risks for millions of young people. This is from a UN report, right? Then split attention due to engagement with the devices also had adverse emotional and physical impact on children. So these were the negative impact. So can you appreciate, like, we are discussing the impact of work from home on family, and then we are segregating into like general impact on the family, impact on the women, children, aged, and between the relationship of your husband and wife. Discuss like divorce cases were increased, right? So if you structure your answer in such a way, you can easily generate points, right? So go back today for Indian society, make such structures that, okay, if there is impact on, say, a question is about impact of globalization on family, same way, same structure will come. You'll discuss on family's function, and then on various social groups, how it has impacted women, children, etc. So these structure will help you to generate points very quickly in your exam, right? Then we've discussed the positive point, negative point. Now we'll write a conclusion. right? Conclusion should always summarize everything. You should give a a way forward. So in conclusion, you can write that work from home, it has been successful, that economy's wheels keep on running. This innovation or this novel method was very helpful in that, right? But it had some social impact, especially on the family, because of change scenario. But you can say over the 2 years, families have adapted to this new system, and now the things are opening. A hybrid model is also coming up. So this overall is having a very positive impact, right? So conclusion should always summarize everything, give a middle path kind of thing, right? And then you can write a simple way forward in one line that government should come up with a proper work from home policy, right? Even in the future, even in spite, even if the pandemic is over, you should have a proper policy, right, for this whole work from home thing, right? So this was your 10 marker, right? If you know the structure, you can easily, generate points, write a balanced answer, right? So you can see our aim here is not just to overload you with information. Information is available everywhere nowadays. There's no information dearth, right? You can find hundreds of books, hundreds of channels on Telegram, but the main, thing which makes you different from other people is knowing how to structure your answer, right? And also you can do one thing here also, just add some flow chart or some diagram, right? Again, you will get that half mark or 1 mark extra, and it's a lot. If extra 1 mark you're getting in every answer, 20 extra marks you're getting, right? You'll be in your top 10 or top 50, right? Okay, so moving forward. So next question was, how is the growth of tier 2 cities related to rise of new middle class with an emphasis on culture of consumption? So whenever a question come, always see what are the key terms. Tier 2 cities, you should know what are tier 2 cities, what is this new middle class, and what is culture of consumption. If you are thorough with your terms which are given in the question, you can easily generate points. There will be no problem in generating points if you understand the question. So try to divide your answer like this only, right? So you have to connect tier 2 cities, this new middle class, and culture of consumption. It's not about only tier 2 cities or only about new middle class or only about culture of consumption. You have to create this holistic ecosystem and discuss, relate all these 3 points and discuss, right? So ask yourself these 3 questions. Pause the video. Again, I'm telling you, pause the video, do some brainstorming, and then obviously you can see the further video. So what are tier 2 cities? You should know that. What is this new middle class? And what do you mean by this culture of consumption? So tier 2 cities which have population between 50,000 to 1 lakh are known as tier 2 cities, like your Agra, Ajmer, Amritsar, Guntur, probably these small cities basically, which we call in layman term. So these are tier 2 cities. Now what is new middle class? So new middle class is characterized, so this middle class, if we define, it's generally defined on the income brackets, right? But what is this new middle class? So this new middle class is not just basis of the participation in the economic production process, not how much money they are making, but by its capacity to consume. So that is your new middle class. So not just participation in production process, but its capacity to consume. Very important definition, right? So your question will be like this only: how has emergence of new middle class impacting the working class women in India? So all these things, this obviously has been asked in previous year. I think in 2014 or 15 this question is there. So where is this question coming from? Again, salient features of Indian society if we talk, right? So apart from your institutions, there is caste, there is class. So from this class, so you should know what constitutes the high class, middle class, lower middle class, how the different social groups and all these classes are working, right? And then obviously impact, you can have a question like this also: what is the impact of work from home on new middle class or on middle class working women? So like this, try to create these kind of connections and make your own notes, right? So the question will be very generic, right? But you need to know this proper structure, how to structure them, and you need to know the proper terms. If you know proper definition, you have a good understanding of all these, what is caste, right? If the question say, what is the impact of modernization or of modern economy and caste, right? You should know what is caste. You should know the 5 features. What are the caste? Endogamy, hereditary occupation, civil and social disabilities. If you know, you can easily tell, okay, this was the structure before. Now with modernization, how endogamy as a feature has changed, or how this civil and social disabilities or hereditary occupation has changed, right? So you should know the basic definition features. You can easily write the points. It can be impact of globalization on caste, or modernization, or coming up of modern economy. So same questions, but combinations will change. So it's better you have a proper simple structure ready made for you, so you can easily replicate in your paper, right? Okay, moving forward. So what is consumption culture? So consumption culture is social status, values and activities that are centered on the consumption of goods and services, right? So in simple terms, if you see in today's world, so if you see on social media, people are going out, they're clicking pictures of the food, expensive food, they're going on trips, right? They're uploading different stories, multiple stories, right? Then, you are clicking aesthetic photos in the name of aesthetics. You're showing off probably your iPad or your new iPhone. So what is this? You are trying to emulate, or you're trying to display your consumption habits, which is giving you a certain kind of status in the society, right? So this is your consumption culture. So where status is decided by how much, this goods you are owning, right? So this has been seen that in tier 2 cities, this new middle class, which is focusing more on the consumption patterns, is increasing. And this habit has gone in impetus, especially from social media. Because earlier there was no social media. Probably your neighbor would know, or your relatives would know that, okay, you have bought a new car, you bought a new fridge or new mobile phone. Now with social media, you're connected with everyone. You can show off to anyone, right? So this has given a impetus to your consumption culture, where you are showing off your things. So in tier 2 cities, so first it was seen in the big cities only, right? Big cities were seen that, okay. But now if we see the tier 2 cities also coming up of social media there, right? OTT platforms, right? With OTT, Netflix, Hotstar, you're even seeing the consumption cultures abroad. You know that, okay, in abroad this kind of brand is famous, or Louis Vuitton is there, or Louboutin is there. You are well versed with these because of OTT platforms, because of social media, right? So in fact, I saw a video in which it was a very analytical video, in which was said that these different brands, like very high end luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Birkin, they are priced phenomenally high. Because if you have to buy, like recently only there was a controversy, MP Mahua Motra, she was carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, right? There was a controversy like, okay, that is very expensive, like in probably 4 lakh 6 lakh bag for rupees for a small bag, right? So if you see, so that video said that these high-end luxury brands, they have the most of their clientele not from the high-end rich people. Okay, they are their regular customer, but they're more focusing on those people who want to look rich, right? Owning a Louis Vuitton bag will make them look rich. So this is the consumption culture, right? You might not have good amount of money in your bank account, but still you want to show that your status is high. You buy branded clothes, you buy a branded bag, right? So that video said that these products are selling out in spite of being so expensive, is because people want to tell that, okay, I am rich. And if you have that Louis Vuitton bag in your picture, it will automatically tell people that, okay, you are rich. So this is the culture of consumption, and it is rising in tier 2 cities, right? Small cities. Okay. So now I've explained about consumption culture. So it's very easy. You discuss around shopping habits, e-commerce, food and beverages, how it is changing, lifestyle, how it is changing, clothes, how they are changing. And probably you validate your analysis with some examples or some survey facts, right? So again, I would say pause the video, just do some brainstorming, right? So it's always beneficial, even if you're watching any kind of video, not just this video, try to brainstorm first, right? Because if you're watching any video, you're just, receiving that person's perception, right? Probably you might have two very different points from me, right? So always try to do a brainstorming, because if you are just watching this video, not doing brainstorming yourself, you're just restricting your information, you're restricting your brain. It will just think on these lines. So try before, attempting or watching any video, just try to do brainstorming yourself, and it will go a long way for you, right? It will be very, very beneficial, right? So consumption of culture in tier 2 cities. Like I discussed, social media has come, e-commerce sites are now available, even e-commerce sites are available in vernacular languages. That has been a game changer, right? Amazon, you can, open it in Telugu or your Punjabi or any other language, right? So, tier 2 cities in which English might not be that popular. So that has led to increased, culture of consumption if this whole site is available in your vernacular language. Deliveries are happening in tier 2 cities, right? If you go online, you're finding different ads on social media, right? You click on one link, then you get, different ads. So the social media is also influencing our shopping habits, right? So all these things have led to a culture of consumption, right? Then status, these things like I talked about, Louis Vuitton bag, Apple iPods, or your Samsung Galaxy phone, they're providing a kind of this status to them. So in general things, if we see, social mobility is due to social mobility means in your society your position increase, right? If you move from one group to another. So conventionally, if we see, it was due to you acquire some skill, you acquire money. But nowadays, in present times, if you own something expensive, right, you're seen as from your richer class. So this is giving encouragement to your culture of consumption, right? Then you quote these few statistics I have collected. So a survey says a 40% increase in purchase in necessities like household supplies, groceries. If you have a big fridge, you are rich. If you have an Apple Watch, you are rich. If you have expensive shoes, you are rich. So this has increased in your tier 2 cities, which were generally seen as sleepy towns, very simple living, but exposure has led to a change. Then there has been opening of malls and multiplexes, pubs, fast food joints, right? Coming up of Swiggy and Zomato also in tier 2 cities, right? Initially, like if we see, they have come into market since your last 2012 or 13, they became very popular. They restricted to big cities only, capital cities only. Now in tier 2 cities, wherever you go, right? Even villages will, not villages, but very small cities will have these Zomato or Swiggy thing happening, right? So even in remote areas, right? Like one of my friend recently went to very remote area in Leh. Again, Zomato and Swiggy was available there also, right? So all these things, all these enabling things have led to a culture of consumption in cities which were previously seen as, very simple living cities where people were very simple. There was not much exposure, right? Now malls are opening. Previously what was there? Only like small local shops were there, right? Small clothing shops were there. Now with e-commerce or with malls, you can shop any brand you want, right? So this has led to this culture of consumption. And what are the reasons? Not only, availability of sources like malls, etc. or e-commerce sites, but also disposable income has increased, and also it is providing a certain kind of social mobility just by owning things, right? So these are one points, right? Then there is another survey by Amazon which said that increased penetration and coverage of online shopping from tier 2 and tier 3 regions, with more than 80% of the new shoppers from these markets, right? 80% every new person who is logged in, right? It is from these tier 2 or tier 3 cities, right? So you can see, if you have a basic understanding of the terms, that what is consumption? Consumption is nothing, lifestyle, food, clothes, owning of these different products, home supplies, etc. So this is your culture of consumption, and how a new middle class is emerging from that, which is majorly focusing on these things, right? So conclusion, what do you write? Conclusion, you just say that, with increased income and coming up of social media OTT platform, this culture of consumption has increased, but obviously it is not sustainable, right? So what is needed, and there can be a different kind of conflict or frustration in the society if your income is not increasing, jobs is not there, but there's pressure of this consumption on you. You have to show to people that you have things, right? So it is for a government to have produce more jobs, right? And because increase in income when supplemented with increase in this consumption culture, right, this demand market, then only it will be sustainable. So this you can write in your conclusion, right? So again, we have completed this second question, which was of 10 marks. First we completed this work from home, impact on family. Now culture of consumption, new middle class in tier 2 cities, right? So last 10 marker was about your tribals. Very simple answer, right? You can easily write it. Again, it is from your, if you will see, most of the questions are from salient features of society, right, or diversity. So when you are covering salient features and various groups, tribes come in that. So here in introduction, just know the simple definition of tribe, probably percentage of scheduled tribes in India. So that will do the trick, right? Just be very short and crisp in your introduction by your 10 markers, right? So you can write tribes are the native people of land who are believed to be the earlier settler, or you can write they are notified as per clause 1 of article 342 of the constitution. So simply just define what are tribes, right? Okay. Then the question is, given the diversities among tribal communities in India, in which specific context should they be considered as a single category, right? So in this question, they are asking that there is so much diversity, different tribes are there, right? Just understand the question first. Understanding the question is very important. If you understand it very well, half your battle is won, if you know what points to write, right? So there is diversity. So do we consider them as a single category or not? Right? So this only will form your body of your answer. See what constitutes them a single category, what are the common features and what are not the common features, right? So first we will discuss what are the common features which they can be defined as a single category. Definite common topography. Any of the tribes, say if you are talking about Munda tribe, it lives in your Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh areas, right? And other Bhil, Madhya Pradesh. So they are usually connected with some proper common place, all the tribes, right? Then they will have a common dialect which is different from the mainstream language. They'll have their own dialect, right? Different language tribal people will have. They'll have one common culture. Their cultural practices are very, very different. And the religion will be seen as, related to animism or worship of nature, right? Their beliefs, right? All these are common features when we talk about tribes, like how they are different from the mainstream population. Then they have a distinct political organization. They'll have a tribal chief, which is based on your age and everything, right? And they'll have an endogamous group, right? They'll marry among themselves only in the same tribal group, right? So these are certain common features, right? You have to elaborate them properly, right? And then you can say that, because of these features, we consider tribes as a single category in spite of numerous tribes which are present in India, right? Then what are the distinct features of each tribe? Like what has been the changes where they cannot be considered as single category, or there is some definitional problems. We cannot say that all the tribes live in one area, they have one common dialect, they have different, one specific political organization, there are endogamous groups. So this over the time has changed. Modernization, education has come, right? We have this tribal Panchsheel policy, different schemes, programs of government has come, right? State has provided very good welfare schemes for these tribal people. So this has led to some change in the common features which were earlier considered that okay, in these features we can just fit in all the tribal groups, right? How? So development induced displacement has been there, dams have been built, tribals have been uprooted from their hereditary places which they were considered okay, it is their place, right? So they have been shifted from that places. So that common feature goes away, right? A Bhil might be now living in Delhi because some project came up and he had to be displaced from that place, right? And now tribals, they have learned the local languages, right, to integrate into the economy or into the whole societal setup of the mainstream population. They have learned the language, right? Then conversions are happening. Northeast, if you see, tribals are mostly converted into Christianity, right? Many have adopted to Hinduism, right? So in fact, there are some of the sociologists, they just say that this is a, like if we see, there are tribes here and Hindus here. There's a sociologist, like not very necessary for your GS, but just explaining. So these are nothing but backward Hindus, right? They will slowly move towards this Hinduism, right? So this is a kind of continuum, right? And then we'll have full integration of these tribal people, right? So obviously this is a very controversial view, but still you can see they're no longer, following these animism or nature worship. They have converted into your mainstream religions. Then there has been penetration of modern economy. Earlier what they were doing, they were doing some kind of barter system or all these things. Like within they have this closed economy. Now if you see government's welfare scheme also for tribals, there's tri-fed, they're selling the tendu leaves or everything. So they have integrated with the modern economy and also with affirmative action. There is reservation for the scheduled tribes. So they have gone into modern jobs also. In UPSC itself, you say there's a reservation for scheduled tribes. So even in the bureaucracy at the highest level, group A jobs, you have scheduled tribes, right? Then political socialization, it's not just a tribal chief now, right, who will say something and every tribe will follow. So they are formation, they have adapted and formed political parties like Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. Since like from 1950s, this is basically a tribal party, but they have adapted the whole political organization to suit the modern times, right? So you have given a balanced view. Okay, there are some common features, but there is a change now in some of the features also. You cannot address them as a very single category because there has been changes in the society which has impacted these common factors, right? And then you write a conclusion that although they have a distinct lifestyle, right, although they have adapted themselves to the your modern economy, but still there are very backward tribals. Like this is a photo of Dongriya Kond from Odisha, right? They still depend on nature and all these conventional economic activities, right? So there are still certain categories of scheduled tribes. You can say our approach should not be assimilation of these tribals, right, but integration. On Nehru's tribal Panchsheel policy, we should have a kind of integration with these tribals so that their basic features, their culture, their beliefs, that are preserved, right? So this you can write in your conclusion. So these were all 10 markers which we have discussed today, right? So there were 6 questions, 3 10 markers and 3 were 15 markers. We'll discuss it in the part 2 video. Just comment if you want that part 2 of this video should be made, right? And in the description box, we'll link few links like Art of Writing Answers, basic structure which you can go through, and you can go through that video before coming up to this UPSC 2022 key, right? That's all from my side. Thank you so much.